Welcome to the Dan Stevens Show. On today's episode, I am primarily going to be talking about the hosepipe ban that has been announced in Ireland on today, the 16th of July, 2026. It's a 6-week ban, and there's a hotline that you can ring to snitch on people if you're perving into their garden and looking at what they're doing. So, perverts, good time for them. I just want to start by saying that I've realised lately, and it is without a doubt, I've learned, especially over the past 5 or 6 years, that I am a contrarian. This word wasn't in my vocabulary. I'd heard it a couple of times, I never really knew what it meant. But it turns out that it's the perfect description for my personality type. Maybe yours, maybe that's what draws you to this podcast, I don't know. You might agree with me on some things, you might not. A contrarian is someone who rejects popular opinion and habitually takes an opposing or an unpopular stance. And for better or for worse, that's what I do. It really came through during COVID. I opposed everything. But one thing that I maintain, and I always will maintain, is I never want harm to anybody else. And I can only control my actions directly. And I can do that. I'm not like most human beings are capable of doing that. We can control what we do. We have brains. We can function ourselves. But so yeah, like I say, for better or for worse, that's how I am. Some people will think I'm an idiot. Some people are interested in that. You might agree with me, you might disagree with me. Who cares? I'm not famous. I'm not famous at all. I'm just a guy with a camera and a microphone, golden shark, an old phone, and a Rubik's Cube, and a mouse on the table that shouldn't be there. So I will be discussing this topic through that lens with as much understanding. I'm trying to garner as much understanding about people and about the topic as I can from the research I've done, which has been... So my mother actually sent me a message last night with a Irish Times headline saying Hosepipe Ban introduced, hotline number to snitch on your neighbours. I mean, if that's not rage bait, I mean, or whatever it is, I don't know what it is. I mean, newspapers now digitally and on the spreadsheets, they're resorting to rage bait now to get people to buy and click and all that. I think it's always been like that, but we just didn't know it. We had less access to information, but that's what's going on now. And there is a hotline number, Uisce Éireann, which is a government-run, government-owned organisation or branch of the government, Irish Water. They're really coming into their own now in the summertime. The hosepipe ban, I agree with it in theory. I think there probably is a lack of water in the in the water sources that we use for our water. I simply looked up the reasons for the hosepipe ban. I just wanted to I like to do my research these days. I don't just come out with anything on this show. So the first one was climate change. That's the first reason. Extreme weather. There's no such thing as seasons anymore. It's not because it's July or because it's summer. It's climate change. So it's climate change season now. And that's the main reason. And they put as the next reason that when the water comes through the pipe system, 40% of it doesn't actually make it because of all the leaks in the pipes, in the plumbing systems that go to the houses of Ireland. 40% is lost through leaks. So we get punished. Once again, government incompetence, and we get punished. The households get punished. Like, I listened to the Moncrief show podcast. It's like a clip. They put clips out of interesting topics, and I think the name of it was "How to Keep Your Plants Safe During the Hosepipe Ban." Like, am I supposed to look at that and think, "Oh, I want to keep my plants safe. I want to keep them safe. I want to protect my plants"? It's not a normal thing to, like, they don't talk about the issue really or why it's there. I mean, they brought on this expert, don't know who he was, something to do with water, and he just normalizes these things that he's saying. So, for example, he talks about grey water, and he's lecturing people as if we're children, as if we're... So in these situations, when there is a water shortage, when there's a real issue, the government and the media quickly become the teacher, and we become the pupils. We have to sit there and we have to listen to what they have to say, and then we go off and we do our homework. We do what we have to do. Now, obviously, none of the big corporations are in school. They do their own thing. They're in the private schools. They're in the boarding schools. That's what they're like. All the big American corporations that don't get taxed, they're over in a different part of the country in their own schools. They don't have to sit in the classroom and listen to the teachers telling them things like what I heard today. I've never heard of grey water before. I only know wastewater, which is what comes out of your dishwasher, which is what goes down the drain into the sewage when you wash your hands. But now all of a sudden, he's advising people on this show to put a bucket in the shower while they're having a shower. Fill up the buckets. So get buckets, fill them up, and then use that to water your plants. My God. And you can, he says, no, don't worry now, you're allowed is the word, you're allowed fill up your watering can and use that. Oh, thank you. So he's laying out the things you're allowed do. He's never actually questioning the measures themselves, or he doesn't say one word. It was like a 14-minute segment. He did not say one word about the fact that 40% of the water that goes through the pipes doesn't make it to the tap because of all the leaks. I think, like, why have they not fixed that? How many plumbers could they put on that job? Maybe bring some back from Australia. Bring back some tradesmen that have left the country and offer them a good contract to fix the pipe work. Like, if they got in there to lay the pipes, then they can get back at them to fix them. Honestly. But no. The households get punished. And it's as a result of that. I'm just laying down the reasons why we're in this position. And why we're back in the classroom again. And the headmaster and the teachers are now lecturing us as if we're idiots. Same as during COVID. All these little rules. This is what you need to do to stop so people don't get hurt. It's always in the guise of, or maybe it's not a guise. Maybe it is for the safety of others. But it's always to do with the lack of the preparation. It's always to do with the lack of preparation of the government. Like, if they just announce there's a water shortage and say, look, just please be mindful. Don't use too much water. Just have a bit of sense. Instead of like it's a ban and then they put everyone out on the airwaves lecturing everybody. Like, I just can't. And then it spreads around and everybody's talking about it in the supermarket. All the older generation, really, who still listen to the news. I mean, the young generation don't have taps. They don't have houses. So it doesn't apply to them. They probably don't even have a shower in their box room that they're staying in. They don't own their own homes. So the government has announced this ban on hose pipes, on water usage. Fair enough. Next, do the vulture funds. And do the massive international investment firms that are buying up all the property. Why don't you ban that? No, I didn't think so. People can't even have a shower without worrying about something, you know. I think a lot of conspiracy theories just come down to incompetence, covering up for incompetence. It's human error, it's human nature. It's too much money going to people that don't know much. And here I am, I'm probably sounding like an old stooge here, an old grouch. But that's how I feel about it. I mean, would you say that there's any plumbers in Uisce Éireann having a say around the table, giving suggestions? Would you say there's any car mechanics or people that have drove all their life for a living in the Department of Transport? No. They don't get people in that know what they're talking about. They get people in that say the right thing. But I mean, who'd want to be a politician anyway? I mean, it's a poison chalice. If you've heard that expression, that means like poison chalice is a great job, but nobody wants it. It would be like being the first manager to take over Manchester United after Alex Ferguson. Sir Alex Ferguson. It's like, oh, great job, but wouldn't fancy it because you have so much to live up to. I mean, and it's so difficult. But that's really what I've got to say about it. I mean, it's just, again, this lecturing. I can't stand it. And I might be wrong. Again, I'm not doubting that there's a water shortage. It's just the method that they use and the way that they treat you like idiots. And then there will be people that say, yeah, but people are idiots. Be very boring if there was no idiots, wouldn't it? So no paddling pools for kids, no water fights. I remember in summers when I was 9 or 10, me and my brothers, water fights, having the absolute crack. Paddling pools, no problem. Sunny for weeks on end. But that's not allowed anymore because climate change. And there's no direct meaning of climate change. I know that it means that the weather is getting hotter and it's getting more extreme. But, and I don't know, I've never seen something written down that makes me go, oh, that's my fault, or that's humans' fault. I know that it's industry causes it. I don't know how. I'm not well up on my information on these kind of things, and I'm not afraid to admit that. I'm just a grouchy contrarian, that's all I am. And I speak my mind. Comedian in the sheets, contrarian on the streets. So, what else have I got to say about that? My little red book. I have my little red book out. That's it, really. Maybe I've spoken out of turn there. Maybe you're shaking your head in disagreement. Maybe you're saying, who does this guy think he is? I was going to put a comedy reel out about it, but just Joe.ie comedy or whatever they're called. They just, whatever's happening in Ireland, they just do a real professional reel of it and gets thousands and millions of views and everybody loves it. So I guess I'm the contrarian. And I'm happy to take that role. And again, there's nobody I question more than myself. Let me tell you. But I do definitely get a little bit of PTSD and a little bit of a fright when I see these headlines saying ban on this and restrictions. All these words, all these buzzwords that seem to be becoming more and more a normal part of Irish society. And then people will say, oh yeah, sure, there's been hosepipe bans and restrictions in other countries for years. That's fine, but I can't speak to that. I live in Ireland. That's my experience is living in Ireland. I grew up here. That's all I can speak to. I can only comment on the changes that are happening in my lifetime. This guy's on the radio talking about when you're shaving, catch the water, fill it up in the sink, and then use that to water your plants. I tell you, I don't need to worry about that anyway. Jesus. Maybe people will go along with this, I don't know. People are probably blue in the face talking about stuff like that, but it's just this language worries me. As someone who doesn't like my, first of all, my privacy and my space being invaded. On that as well, a couple of weeks ago, the drone company Mana had its planning permission rejected for all the sites it was going for in Blanchardstown anyway, in Ireland. Nowhere in Ireland would give them planning permission. Good on you guys. Well done to Drone Action D15. I don't know if I've shouted them out before here, but they were brilliant activists in that process. They did everything they could. They were on the ball. And now there's no more drones in the skies of Ireland. It was an issue that actually united political parties. In this day and age, that's a rarity. I was talking to the Tulsa Flyer, which is an Oklahoma-based digital newspaper. Tulsa Flyer talking about drones. Quite ironic. I did an interview over the phone with a guy from there. It was very good. I really thought about what I was going to say. I prepared very well for it. It wasn't really so much as an interview. It was kind of just giving my opinion on it. And in the process of thinking about the drones, it really got me thinking in that it's very hard to regulate delivery drones because, I mean, if I was a drug kingpin, I'd be like, we're getting a few drones in the skies, lads. Stick an L, Just Eat label on them. And then you can drop whatever you want, wherever you want, into gardens, industrial estates. There's no drone police that'll stop you looking for your tax or your insurance. So, I mean, that's just another danger of it. Who knows what kind of quality cameras are on drones? Like, how can you tell the difference between a private drone and one of these delivery drones? Labelling was all I could find. I researched that. So, good riddance to them. Hopefully the people of Tulsa, Oklahoma, which is where Mana are now, they shook a lot of hands with government officials and they've got their business off the ground now. But I mean, the reason why I got interviewed by that newspaper, the digital newspaper, was that I left a comment. There was a video of the launch of the drones with the owner of Mana Drones and a few, like I say, elected officials, and it was all very happy clappy, and then there was hundreds of comments underneath and not one was positive. People talked about dystopian, Orwellian, I mean, which is words that I would also apply to the language that's used in the bans and the restrictions and the snitch lines and stuff with regards to Hosepipe Ban and the COVID era. Like, I mean, going back to the COVID thing, I'm not going to talk about it much, but one of the things that blew my mind was that the word lockdown became normalised. It's like, remember that lockdown? It's like, you're a free human. Like, how can that word be normalised outside of a prison? But it was. It became the lingo. But that's what a lot of people were talking about in the comments. I mean, with technology, I guess, comes Orwellian tendencies, dystopia, looking up at the sky thinking, what's going on here? Whether it's a drone or a surveillance camera or whatever else. That's just what comes with technology. Suspicion. I mean, as well as that, if we're going to be a country that takes in people who are fleeing from war-torn countries, I mean, the sight of a big drone up in the sky is not going to exactly be the best for them, is it? With regards to PTSD and whatnot. That's just another thing that popped into my mind. So, I mean, with all this, maybe I'm overreacting to it, but it's just how I feel. And I'm becoming less and less afraid to talk about how I feel. It's never going to get me on RTE, I know that much, which is fine. I don't know if it clashes with my comedic style, but it's just how I think. I look very inwardly at things. I go inside to find to try and find meaning and answers, and that this is just what comes out. So you might think it's nonsense, you might be nodding your head in agreement. Either way, I appreciate it. One other thing, this is a bit of an announcement, I guess, with the direction of the podcast over the next couple of months. There's going to be a restriction on episodes. Look, I'm going to be scaling it back to one episode a week until probably mid-September, end of September. It's getting busy with the comedy. I've been gaining followers online, producing a lot of reels, a lot of sketches. I'm trying to sell tickets for my show in October in the Cobblestone. I'm doing my own show also at the start of October in Drogheda in Sunday Street. Tickets will be out for that soon, by the way, if you're around that area. I'm doing a full month in Edinburgh. Every day at 5:30 I'll be doing my own hour. So there's that coming up. I'm preparing for a lot stand-up wise. I'm trying to build a following with basically comedy sketches on Instagram. And the reason why I kind of stopped, I used to run gigs, do comedy and do the podcast, and I was like, look, trying to do three things really well for me personally is quite difficult. I can only really do two things well. So at the moment I have to prioritise the comedy, writing, performing, doing as many gigs as I can. Like this weekend, for example, I'm going to Liverpool, all the way to Liverpool, to do 5 minutes in Hot Water Comedy Club, which is a massive state-of-the-art new comedy club. 5 minutes is what you get when you're brand new, but I don't mind. I am brand new in that club, so I'll go over, hit them hard, do my best, and hopefully make a good impression. But things like that that kind of have me having to scale back a little bit. Doing 2 episodes, one with a guest in a week, as well as doing, say, it happened recently that I did 8 gigs in the space of a week, and in 2 episodes, one with a guest. The quality will suffer ultimately if I'm not putting full focus into something. So I think I've realised that I can manage hitting the stand-up hard. That's my number one priority. Preparing for Edinburgh, preparing to put an hour together that's good, that I can stand behind and that I'm proud of, and whilst producing online content that's meaningful and funny. And I think alongside that I can do 1 episode a week, either with a guest or by myself, that is worthwhile and that is fully what I want it to be for you guys. So I hope you can bear with me for a few weeks. It'll probably be for about the same length of time as the Hosepipe Ban, to be honest. So you'll be flooded with episodes when it's over. I will say, if you could please follow on Spotify, that really helps, and share and rate 5 stars. YouTube, I'm always swimming against the tide on YouTube, but some people are enjoying it on YouTube too, so please subscribe and like and comment and share and all that stuff there too. And whether you're listening on Apple as well or somewhere else, thank you very much. Whatever country you're in, Ireland, UK, Australia, the US, a few Vietnam listeners now, people listening all over the place, thank you very, very much for listening to my contrarian opinions. So the schedule of the podcast will now be every Tuesday. And I want to bring full focus to that. And I'm hoping that Spotify doesn't punish me and start. I hope it doesn't lower the listenership. I hope that you'll stick with me. And I can provide something that's of use to you guys. I want to say hello to Doe Hickey in Portugal, by the way. Old friend of mine from back in the day. He left a good comment on the Pico Lopez situation. He's a long time Shamrock Rovers fan. And he gave me a few bits of knowledge, a few nuggets of knowledge about the Pico Lopez situation. I appreciated that. I want to thank Billy and everybody, all the Richie, all the people who've been with me, Quinner, Jim, the whole lot, everybody, all my listeners and viewers. Love yous all. Thanks for the recent donation, by the way. Someone donated. I haven't been getting many lately, and I'm not looking for sympathy or donations, but if you want to donate to help the podcast progress and to buy guests a coffee, there's a buy me a coffee link in the episode description as well, if you'd like to contribute. I do hope someday to advance and get into a soundproof studio somewhere. Maybe get some sponsorship. I'm always open to sponsorship if anyone listening would be into that. I have little look. That shark is worth a lot, and the phone and the Rubik's Cube, but you know, I'm open to negotiation. So that's what I wanted to basically. It felt like a get it off your chest thing for me there, and I'm lucky that in my life I have good friends and family who I can get this stuff off my chest to anyway. I don't feel like I'm totally funneling everything to you guys. I'm just sharing it with you because I think some things are important to say. I think we need to watch the language that's been used in society by news organisations and by the government, because it is basically the same in those organisations, in government and in the media. They are linked. So maybe that's just the way it has to be. I mean, some people would say, what's the alternative? Do you want it to all fall apart and then there's just nothing, it's just a mess? Maybe this system was created because it's the most effective, because society would be absolutely insane if we didn't have systems like this. And I'm not saying we're in a cage, but sometimes maybe living outside of the cage or outside of the perceived bubble that we're in would be a much more miserable existence and much more unbearable. Who knows? I think that's everything for this episode. This will be the last Friday episode for a while. Yeah. Who else have I got to thank? Luke Bell, everybody that subscribed and donated, and Louise, and I have a lot of lovely listeners, and I'm glad that you stick with me. I'm very thankful. We're going to be on this journey together. I won't be stopping. Whether it's comedy, whether I see us at shows, whether it's here. I've said it before and I say it again. I love doing this podcast, and I hope you enjoy it too. So this has been the Dan Stevens Show. I will be back again next Tuesday and every Tuesday following that. Hope you enjoy the Hosepipe Ban. Make sure that you save all your water when you're showering so you can grow the plants. Just wring your clothes out onto the plants as well. Just be a good citizen, okay? Thanks for listening. Thanks for watching. All the best. See you again soon. Thank you.